Salut pour tous et soyez les bienvenus dans le programme Planète Équitable avec Ede Zanetti. We are talking about the national policy or state policy and municipal policy on the tropics for the remuneration of carbon removals, for removing the CO2 from the atmosphere. We are now, our programs are advocating for this national policy or for this state policy or for this municipal policy to start operating in tropical countries in order to start paying landholders for the role they have on removing the CO2 from the atmosphere. And I'm using first the example of Europe. Right now in Europe, for example, the German government is aligning their legislation with the UNFCCC findings about removals in order to start remunerating their landholders for the role they have on removing the CO2 from the atmosphere. The ETS ETU market is paying something like $100 per ton of CO2. So companies, individuals which are relying still on fossil fuels for that operation will be paying this emission tax, and this money will be reverted to landholders which are practicing one of the 16 alternatives that UNFCCC have laid out in order to increase the removals globally. So, for example, a landholder which is increasing its productivity by different technologies, he or she will become eligible to receive those funds for carbon removals. A landholder that produces biochar and applies biochar to its land, to its property, will be holding this atmospheric CO2 for at least 100 years in the form of this biochar which is applied for the soil. So she becomes eligible for receiving those funds for removing CO2 from the atmosphere. A landholder which is producing industrial timber for the construction sector, both of them, the one that is producing the timber and the one that is using the timber, will receive proceeds from the remuneration of carbon removals in order that to have incentives for the role they play on cleaning up the air. And more alternatives. We'll be talking more about this. Let God's peace and the love that builds be our weapons on the daily struggle for justice. Ede Zanetti, Futuras da Minha Africana.